I'm JJ Bittenbinder, and I'm a policeman. Welcome to this special edition of Tough Target. Our mission at Tough Target is to provide you, our viewers, with valuable information on what to do if confronted by a threatening situation. Information that can save your life or the life of someone close to you. Over the past several months, we've shown you dramatic, factual reenactments of real crimes, followed by advice on how to deal with these crimes based on my 23 years experience on the street. Advice that can keep you from becoming a victim. Our stories have focused on situations that happen to ordinary people in everyday places, because that's where crime strikes. Being a tough target means having a plan and being prepared. We've received a lot of mail requesting that we do this show. Coming up, we'll bring together all 4 parts of my tough target strategy and show you what being prepared is all about. This is one tough target you don't want to miss.
2028, units on citywide, robbery in progress.
Thanks for joining us. Now, the first thing you have to understand when it comes to crime is this: there are no absolutes. Nothing works every time, but you do need to know your options, and you do need to be prepared. The first step is to know the 4 laws of the jungle, because it is a jungle out there. 1, crime can happen to anyone, anytime, anywhere. It can happen to you. 2, the bad guys, I call them goofs because that's what they are, don't all look like Charles Manson or Freddy Krueger. 3, it's not how tough you are, it's how tough he thinks you are. The goofs go for the weakest one, and you cannot be that one. 4, you are responsible for yourself, to yourself, and you've got to be prepared, because the bad guy is prepared. When this goof steps into the arena, he knows what he's going to do, what he's going to say, what he's going to take, and where he's going to run. And what does the victim know? Nothing. That's why the bad guys win, every time. But we're going to change all that. We're going to make you a tough target. Now, there are 4 laws of the jungle, and there are 4 parts to your tough target strategy. 1, you've got to have a plan. 2, always deny privacy. 3, you must attract attention. And 4, you need to be prepared to take action. Let's look at these one at a time. In Spokane, Washington, Donna DeHart was shopping with her beautiful 9-month-old baby girl when she was attacked in a crowded mall parking lot.
Or I'll do you right here.
Donna had only split seconds to make up her mind, but she had a plan. Donna knew that to save her child's life, she had to save herself. So she dove out of the car. Then, despite being shot, Donna got some help and went to the police right away.
They took my baby Ethan away for safety.
The police captured this goof, and Donna's daughter was returned, unharmed. That's one tough lady with a plan. Now, carjacking is a crime of opportunity, and it usually happens right on the street.
Open the door! Open the door! Open the door!
No! Leave me alone!
Like Donna, this woman had a plan. Her door is locked, her window is up, and this goof is left in the dust. Now, one of the best plans I ever heard was a woman waiting at a bus stop. She sees this goof and he's looking all around. She knows she can't outrun him. He's getting closer. So what does she do? She turns to him and she says, "Don't I know your mother?" Well, this goof doesn't know what to do because he's not sure. So he gets out of there. Like this woman's plan, the simpler your plan, the better. You may remember this story. Eileen Weldon of Redding, California writes, "Dear Detective JJ Bittenbinder, I want to thank you for saving my life.
It was about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was driving along. I looked up, and there was a truck driver, and he was motioning madly, something was wrong with my car. And I pulled over and he pulled in back of me. He was so close, and I couldn't see anything but his truck. But when he started walking to my car, I just rolled up my windows and locked my door because I just thought about what JJ had said. JJ had said, if somebody stops you on the highway, roll up your windows and lock your doors, and don't get out of your car, especially if they ask for something to fix your car with.
The back tire looks terrible. It looks like it's about to fall off. Why don't you get a tire iron?
Because sometimes they'll, you get out to show them and give it to them, they'll hit you on the head with it. I said, no, I don't have one. And so I just started to pull out. I thought, well, maybe, gosh, I didn't know for sure that my tire wasn't going to fall off. I pulled in and I told the guy, I said, somebody stopped me. Said something's wrong with my back tire. Would you check them? He checked all my tires and wasn't anything wrong with it. So I went, wow.
Stories like Eileen's really fire me up because we are saving lives. And she may have saved her own life because she had a plan. She trusted her instincts and she got out of there. When the hair on the back of your neck stands up, that's 200 million years of evolution telling you there's trouble here. You've got to trust those instincts. Nice going, Eileen. I'm proud of you. Now, let's look at the second part of your 4-part tough target strategy, denying privacy. If you've been watching Tough Target, you've heard me say this before, but I can't emphasize it enough. You cannot allow yourself to be taken to what we call a secondary crime scene, someplace other than the point of initial confrontation. The secondary crime scene is the deadliest piece of ground in the world. Tammy Zawicki faced such a situation. After dropping her brother Darren at Northwestern University, Tammy headed west through Illinois on her way to Grinnell College in Iowa. Perhaps because of car trouble, Tammy pulled off Interstate 80 and waited at the side of the road. Sometime later, a truck driver offered his help. That was the last time Tammy was seen alive. 9 days later, Missouri police found her body 500 miles from the abandoned Pontiac. She had been stabbed 7 times and raped. Her killer remains on the loose. Now, I don't want this ever to happen to you or someone you love. In my experience as a policeman, I've seen hundreds of senseless murders and thousands of stunned survivors. My heart goes out to Tammy Zawicki's family, but my head tells me to make the same point again and again. Never allow yourself to be taken to a secondary crime scene, because like Tammy, you won't be back. Now, what if this guy has a gun?
Give me your money or you're dead.
Well, the advice is the same. You cannot go. If he wants your property or your car, give it up and get your knees in the breeze. Get out of there. When we come back, we'll do this gun thing. It can save your life. Let's do this gun thing. If you're confronted and this guy pulls a gun on you and you break and run immediately, out of 100 times, how many times do you think this guy is going to fire at you? Well, it's low, but we'll say half, 50%. 50 times out of 100, he's going to fire at you. And out of those 50 times, what percentage of the time you think he's going to be able to hit you with his little pistol as you run down the street? Well, that number is very low, but we'll say half again. That means 25 times out of 100, he's fired at you and hit you. And out of those 25 times, what percentage of the time you think it's going to be a mortal wound? Half. That means 12 and a half times out of 100, you're in deep trouble. That means 87 and a half times out of 100, you're not in trouble. But that's just the way I present this. The real number is 5% of the time you're in trouble, and that means 95% of the time you're okay. Now, you can live with those odds, but if you go with this guy, he's holding all the aces. So weigh it out. Nothing works 100% of the time. But you need to understand your options and know what you're going to do before this happens. You've got to deny privacy. Now, let's look at what happened to Elaine Crosby of McAllister, Oklahoma. One night, Elaine went out for what was supposed to be a quick trip to the grocery store.
I came back out, got into the van, and headed home. And it was not until I turned onto a street that is real close to our house that I caught movement in the rearview mirror. And then I realized that I wasn't alone and that I was in trouble. And there's a rope on my hand. He had the knife at my neck. I took it and pushed it back. And I asked, what do you want? What do you want me to drive? And that's when I turned to act like I was going to drive, but then went for the street. And we struggled outside for some time. I remember the knife, you know, being jabbed toward me and me stepping back and trying to avoid it. Then the next thing I remember is he got me back in the van, and he's driving, and I remember thinking, oh, I get one more chance. When he gassed the van to get out of the ditch, I just dove for the door and hit the ditch, and he kept going.
Although she was badly injured, Elaine's quick thinking saved her life. Elaine followed 2 of my most important tips.
To have a plan, and don't go to a secondary crime scene. Those 2 things alone can save your life.
Good job, Elaine. She's right. You have to have a plan and deny privacy. How do you think all these bodies we find in the woods and the forest preserves got there? Well, these women and children were not just walking through the woods when they were attacked. They were brought there, and they were brought there in a car. We've learned this from the masters. Ted Bundy took 45 women into the car. John Wayne Gacy, 33 boys, into the car. Jeffrey Dahmer, 17, into the car. You cannot go. And you've got to make sure that your children understand this, because the bad guys are out there. They really are. Rebecca Savarese of Pittsfield, Massachusetts, faced the worst kind of bad guy, a dangerous predator who targeted children. But Becky knew exactly what to do.
That day I was walking to school, and I was listening to my Walkman, and this guy just came up behind me. He said, do you see the gun I have? And he showed it to me. I was like, yeah, I see it. And he says, do everything I say, everything will be all right. And then we walked up here to where his truck was parked. It's right where those mailboxes are. He asked me to get into it, and I started to fake an asthma attack. I was going, can I just sit down? He tried to grab for me, and he got my backpack, and I just ran back down the street. I was scared of going into that truck because I knew one thing, that I wouldn't come out.
Becky got away and identified her attacker, Louis S. Lent Jr. He was later charged with the abduction and murder of 2 children, Sarah Ann Wood and Jimmy Bernardo. Becky was empowered by her mother to never go with a strange adult, and she didn't. Here's what I told the audience when I appeared on the Jerry Springer Show with the parents of 2 missing children, Stephanie Crane and Gina North.
One of the most important things you can do for a child is empower the child to say no to an adult, especially in the area of forced affection, where it concerns her own little person. Because the father starts this one. Here's what the father does. He says, Dolly, Grandpa's leaving. Go give Grandpa a big kiss. And the little girl says, Daddy, I don't want to kiss Grandpa. Hey, that was a nice Christmas gift he just gave you. Go give him a big hug and a kiss. Daddy, I don't want to kiss Grandpa. Grandpa's mouth smells funny. Hey, that's my father. Now you get in there and you kiss him. Well, the lesson that was just taught to this child at this very young age is that she has no control over the affection that's forced on her. But if you give the choice back to the child, then the child is tough. The child is empowered. And now when the little boy is 5 years old, and Uncle Herman wants to take this kid into the next room, he's not going to go. And now the little girl is 15, and she's involved in a date rape situation. But she's tough, because all of her life, her mother and father have told her, this is your person. If you don't want it kissed or touched or hugged, then they don't touch it. No mixed signals, just straight up no. And if she gets to say no to her parents, she'll say no to anybody.
There is nothing more important than keeping our kids safe. When we come back, we'll look at the final 2 parts of your plan: attracting attention and taking action, doing something to this guy. If you're in trouble, or you see someone else in trouble, you've got to yell or scream, whatever it takes to attract attention. Because this can bring you help, and the bad guy cannot ignore it. We profiled the story of Sheila Brodsky, who was subjected to one of the most terrifying experiences any woman can face: home invasion or rape.
Make a sound, and you're dead.
But we also showed you what to do if you choose to fight back in a situation like this. And if you do decide to fight, you've got to give it everything you've got. And that means making enough noise to raise the dead. That's right, throw the chair through the window. That'll get the neighbors' attention and bring the police. and yell fire, 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 because no one can ignore a fire. Yelling fire works. It really does. Here's a case in point. David Guerin of Philadelphia.
It was 10 of 7 in the morning. I was getting up ready to go to work, and all of a sudden I heard some noises coming from one of the rooms. And I went into the other room. I saw a man standing there with a ski mask, and gloves. The moment I saw him, I just started screaming fire and did not stop screaming. And then he punched me, and I must have flown about 5 feet. And I managed to break away from him, and then I somehow had the presence of mind to unlock the front door, ran out, and then ran up to a neighbor's condo. By that time, he probably just ran out, and then within 3 minutes, the fire department was there, the police were there, everyone. But it was just a yelling fire. My voice is what saved me.
I'm especially proud of Dava because this whole incident occurred the day after she attended a presentation I gave in Philadelphia. Dava is a success story we can all be proud of. Another way to attract attention is a personal alarm. It's about as big as a beeper and it clips onto a purse or a waistband. When you sense trouble, all you have to do is pull the pin and it lets out a piercing noise. Okay, we've covered the first 3 parts of your tough target strategy. Have a plan, deny privacy, and attract attention. Let's move on to the 4th and final part, taking action. This means to protect yourself and to help somebody else. If you see somebody in trouble, you've got to do something. Leroy Montgomery did. Leroy was finishing his shift as a Chicago cab driver when Carol Pooler stumbled across Lakeshore Drive and collapsed right on the street.
Hey, lady, you okay? What's wrong?
Carol had been stabbed several times in an attempted robbery.
Call the police.
She refused to give up, and Leroy is a genuine hero. He put her in his cab, got her to the hospital where they saved Carol's life. Now, in that case, much of the damage had already been done. But what if you see someone in trouble? Call the police. Even if you don't have a phone, yell, "I'm calling the police." The goof doesn't know if you have a cellular phone or not, and he can't afford to stick around to find out. I don't want you putting yourself at risk, but if you see an assault happening and you decide to get involved, grab the victim and pull her away. Do not grab the attacker. The victim will help you. The attacker will always fight you. What if you find yourself looking down the barrel of a gun? Ken Fowler did.
I was about 5 days before Christmas, and I was at my boss's house, and I realized that I had left a box at his house that I needed to wrap a Christmas present in. As I put the box in the car, I looked up and I saw 4 kids coming toward me. They all had hoods over their head. I thought, do I go for the car door? What do I do? So I started backpedaling, and at that time, I saw another kid pointing a gun at me.
Stop! Don't move!
At this point, Ken believed he was going to be killed.
In just an instant, I decided that I wasn't going to stand there, and I took off running toward the house, and I started screaming. I saw the flash, the gun go up in the air, and I just kept running and screaming. And I ran into the back of the house and called 911.
Ken did the right thing. He got his knees in the breeze. If flee is an option, it's always your best option. But sometimes it's not an option, or this guy's right in your face. Well, here's what you can do. You carry a pepper spray. Let's talk to an expert in the field, Tim Powers. He's trained thousands of law enforcement personnel and civilians in the use of personal safety sprays.
The key to picking a personal protection device is to choose something you'll be committed to and prepared to use. I only recommend non-lethal types of devices, and a safety spray is one of the best options. A quality spray, when used correctly, will incapacitate an attacker for 20 minutes or more. It causes no permanent physical damage. They're portable, easy to use, and highly effective. They provide you with viable options to deal with or avoid an attack. If you decide to carry a spray, you need to train yourself to respond by reflex action. This can be accomplished by purchasing and practicing with a training unit containing no active ingredient. With over 100 to choose from, purchasing a spray can be a confusing decision. There are 2 elements to consider: the active ingredient and the delivery mechanism. The active ingredients may be tear gas, a pepper solution, or a blend of both. In our testing, we have found the pepper sprays with a 5 to 10% concentration to be the most effective active ingredient for civilian use. They're faster acting and work better on people under the influence of drugs or alcohol. That's why we prefer pepper spray over tear gas and hybrid blends. The delivery mechanisms for personal safety sprays come in several different styles and sizes. The one I like best is this flip-top model. It fits easily into your hand and can be aimed and fired quickly, even in the dark. Another good model is the key ring, but I recommend that you keep an extra unit in your car because it won't do you much good hanging from your ignition.
What you're about to see is an actual live hit with pepper spray.
The most important tactic when using your spray is to create and maintain distance. Spray and keep spraying, following the movement of his face. Shout verbal commands. The bad guy is not going to just stand there and let you spray him. Tim, could you kept on fighting?
No, the spray hit my eyes so fast. It went up my nose, and it's burning. An instantaneous burn. I was blinded. And as soon as I stopped, I became disoriented. I couldn't stand upright.
Can you open your eyes at all?
Oh, no.
When used properly, personal safety sprays really work. Kids can stick together, too. Here's one of my favorite tough target stories. Cameron Noel of Chalmette, Louisiana.
My friends always come and pick me up. That's Ernie, Gabrielle, and Terry. And I seen this car, and it come down the wrong side of the street and parked the wrong way. When we got even up to the car, he jumped out, grabbed Ernie by his mouth, and pulled him up by the pants and threw him in a car and shut the door. And I thought maybe this guy would rape him or hurt him or kill him. Run!
Cameron decided he had to do something.
That's when the guy turned around. I kicked him where it hurts, right between the legs, and I jump kicked him twice in the head, and the guy fell down on the ground. And I opened up the car door, and I let my friend free, and I put him on my shoulders, and we ran to school. After school, my friends told me, they go up to me and go, Cameron, thank you for doing that. And I said, what did I do? Made me feel surprised and good.
There are very few axioms in the police business, but this is one of them. The initial contact between the victim and the offender is the time when the offender has the least amount of control over the situation. So whatever you're going to do it right away. That's what Diane Ross did.
So I was walking home, and it was dark, and it was at that point that somebody grabbed me from behind and dragged me backwards into the alley. Then he let go of me and put me down on the ground. When I'm on the ground, I can't get up. I had arthritis as a child, which affected my hands and my feet, mostly, and my knees.
Being disabled, Diane couldn't fight back the way others could. But a course she took taught her that self-defense is more than punches and kicks.
My will not to be attacked was stronger than his will to attack me. So he picked me up and then started running down the alley. And I realized I was in real trouble because I thought that he might be taking me to a car. And I was going through, it's like, I can't hit him, I can't kick him, I can't run. And then all of a sudden my instructor's face was like right in front of me saying, what do you have? What have you got? And I realized that I had my teeth, and so I reached over and bit him as hard as I could. It startled him, and he put me down on the ground and ran away.
Now, Diane did the right thing. She's one tough lady. She did what she had to do, and she refused to be a victim. Now, here are some other things you can do if you're attacked. If he grabs you, come out of your coat and run. If he's got your arm, peel his thumb or twist toward it. That's the weakest part of his grip. If he's chasing you, get an object between you, like a car or a desk, to buy yourself time. If he knocks you down, stay on your back and use your legs to keep him off of you. Your legs are much stronger than your arms. Strike his most vulnerable areas, the eyes, throat, groin, and shins. Sometimes your best options to flee or use a pepper spray are not options and you're forced to fight. Here's one program I like because it teaches you to fight with all you've got.
The workshop is designed to teach people how to take care of themselves, protect themselves physically against a violent attack, and also to identify the areas in their life where they feel disempowered, where they feel helpless, and take their power back. At the end of the 2 days, we expect our students to absolutely know that they can handle themselves against a violent attack. And they know that they can because they have, because Integrated into the program is a very realistic combat situation where they get to stand up to their worst fears and to an attacker and win for themselves.
There were about a dozen of us, men, women, all different ages. We spent a lot of time learning how to use our hands, our elbows, and our legs to defend ourselves.
Ready, strike!
But the big deal was actually testing ourselves in combat.
When do we go into combat? When you feel threat. When you have no other choice. If you go into combat, you go in 100% fully committed.
The attackers were three very big guys, and they were padded all over. It was their job to pick the fight. But then as soon as they put their helmets on, it was our job to do anything we could to avoid being their victims.
Use your hands! Now use your hands!
One of the rounds of combat was an unprovoked attack, and no holds were barred.
She's saying no, but she really means yes.
Each one of us comes in knowing how to take care of ourselves, that it's hardwired into our system and it's simply put to sleep. Once it's reawakened, you don't lose it again.
That's it! Find your key eye! Find your key eye! That's it!
Good hand!
Get that hand back there! Now key eye! Now key eye! That's a girl! Kick! Good! Good! Quit talking in key eye! Leave me alone! Quit talking in key eye! You got a free hand, use it! That's it! Now get your legs in there! Kick! 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 That's it! Break!
That was so intense, much more than I ever imagined it would be, and real good training.
When we come back, I'll tell you a story that'll touch your heart. On this special edition of Tough Target, we've shown you what you should do if you're ever confronted with a violent situation. It's information that could save your life. Let me read you a recent letter I received. It says, "Dear Detective Bittenbinder, I am writing you to thank you for saving the life of my 12-year-old daughter, Deanna.
On Thursday at 7:45 a.m., Deanna was 3/4 of a block from school when some guy came up behind her, grabbed her neck and said, "Don't turn around, don't look at me, shut up and don't say anything." Knowing that this guy was dangerous, my daughter screamed as loud as she could. Our school secretary was on her way to school and saw the whole incident. At this point, the bad guy took his grip off my daughter and she ran toward the school secretary. When I talked to Deanna after the incident, she told me, "Mom, I'm okay. It was scary, but I did everything that JJ told me to." When she said this to me, it made me realize all you've done. I can never thank you enough for preserving the innocence of my child and possibly saving her from a terrible death. When I say I owe you my life, it's an understatement. I will remember you forever as the angel who guided my daughter
away from danger. With every ounce of my appreciation, I thank you. May God bless you every day. And that's what this is all about. And that's what Tough Target is all about. I'm JJ Bittenbinder. Stay safe. Be a tough target.